Hello, my name is Sam.
Hi,
Nice to meet you. Okay. So did you find the place okay?
Yeah, I did.
Perfect. It's getting a little colder out there.
Yeah, I know.
Not
Chilly.
looking forward to winter. So, just before we begin, I just have a couple things to go over with you. So to start, my name's Sam, once again, and I'm a Durham College student. I'm in the Social Service Worker program, and this service is completely free. Some people find it completely beneficial and some do not. So it's kind of just a trial and error, see if it works for you, and we'll go through a couple things, and hopefully we can come to a conclusion or something like that by the end of the session, and hopefully it helps you in some sort of way. Just before we begin though, we're just going to go over the client confidentiality agreement and the informed consent form. The circumstances that I would have to break confidentiality between us is if my notes and information becomes subpoenaed to court, if I sense any abuse or neglect to a child, if I sense any severe harm to yourself or others, as well as if you report any prior of professional abuse to their position, and as well as informed consent for the release of your information to, say, another agency or other professionals. Does that make sense for those situations? Okay. So just as well, if I was to see you out in the public and I will not immediately acknowledge you because I don't want to break that form of confidentiality if, say, you don't want people to know we know each other and ask questions, things like that. But of course, if you were to wave or say hi, I will of course acknowledge you and say hello back, but we have to respect the boundaries of no personal contact between each other. Okay, does that make sense? Sure, so we're just going to get you to sign here and then we can get the file started for you. Good, thank you very much. So what exactly do you want to talk about today?
Well, for the past couple of days, I just started college, and it's just been a very stressful.
Hold on one second. I didn't think I pressed record.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, we better just start now. Okay. So what did you come in to talk about today?
Well, for the past few days, because I just started college,
Okay.
and now it's just like I'm getting very stressed out and very overwhelmed with a lot of schoolwork and projects, you know, since it's very new to me. And I just have a lot going on as well at home with my parents going through a divorce, and you know, it's weighing heavily on me, and I just feel like I'm gonna like break down at any moment now, and it's a lot to deal with.
Okay. So congratulations for making it to college. That's an amazing achievement.
Thank you.
So congratulations to you. That's very great. So what I'm hearing is that you're really overwhelmed with the workload at school, and you have a lot of at home weighing on you, like problems at home. Is that correct? So what exactly is going on at home with the divorce and family?
Yeah, so my parents are just sorry, it's a lot. They're just getting divorced, and you know, I want to be there. Like my dad's blaming my mom's blaming my dad, and they're constantly arguing. They don't want to talk to each other, so they're kind of like doing that through me, and I don't want to deal with it. And I have to go back to school, and then just having to do all the schoolwork and coming back home and just having, you know, them constantly arguing all the time. And well, they both live in separate houses, but since my mom would kind of just call me and talk to me, and then my dad, when I'm at his place, when I'm at my mom's place, he would call me and talk to me because I switch back and forth between their houses over the weekend, and I have to bring my schoolwork there, so then I'm there, and they're constantly just arguing to each other over the phone with the whole divorce thing, and I can't study, I can't think, and it's just a lot for me. And I have my little sister as well, and I have to try and take care of her because she's crying over the situation as well.
So how does that make you feel?
Well, I just feel there's a lot, because I feel like I kind of need to be that parent to my little sister since my mom and dad are already going through a lot with themselves, and I want to be there for her. I feel like I'm her sister and her mom, and I have to be her friend as well, just trying to take care of her. So I'm feeling overwhelmed and just angry, frustrated, sad.
Okay. So I just want to acknowledge the fact that you're taking on a lot of responsibility in this situation, especially towards your little sister. And I mean, that's great of you taking that initiative, and that you feel that you have to be there for your sister. And a lot of families doesn't work out that way, right? So it's good for you for taking that on and trying to be there for your sister, because it must be tough, especially you at your age, and imagine her at a younger age, right? That must be really tough.
It is. It's just, overwhelming, very, very
Overwhelming. So how do you take moving back and forth to your mom's and dad's house?
Well, it's kind of like because they haven't done the whole child custody thing yet, since the divorce is still very new. So I just need to keep going between and back from both their houses, and having to also with my sister, we're both going back and forth and having to be there for her, and it just I'm getting sort of like annoyed with having like 2 separate rooms since my dad was the one that moved out. So it's kind of like the whole moving process as well as having to bring, some of my stuff to his house and also keeping stuff in my mom's house. So it's kind of, I don't know, it's just hard to find that balance between, everything of going back and from, and then after also being able to having to get to school from 2 different places since my mom is in Toronto. And then my dad is in, he's in Oshawa, so it's just a lot.
So do you find it a challenge definitely to be coming to school every day and carrying kind of all this at-home baggage and worrying, constant worry, right? So how do you feel like it's affecting your schoolwork in any way?
Yes, a lot, because I have to be able to, because I'm also thinking, I know it's not my responsibility to be thinking of what's going on with them, but of course I come home and sometimes I find my mom crying and then my sister's crying, and I feel like I need to take care of them, and I don't really have time to study and focus on my schoolwork because my family comes first. So I'm thinking I need to be able to take care of them, make sure they're okay. So I'm not really thinking of doing my schoolwork or focusing on my tests, and I get into class and my mom would sometimes call me crying, my sister would sometimes call me crying, and I have to get out of class and be able to deal with that.
That must be very overwhelming and time consuming.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that. It's great that you're here. I'm glad that you're here to be able to talk about it and you're seeking advice and guidance. So it's really great on your part, and I really want to acknowledge the strength that you have, especially taking on the role of being there for your little sister, and taking on the role of being in college, which itself is a significant time-consuming role, right? Like the course load and so many subjects and projects, I know how overwhelming it can be. So I just want to acknowledge that and know that you're an incredibly strong person, and it takes a lot of courage to do that. So just what I'm hearing is that you're very, very family-oriented.
Yeah.
Is that correct? So I can just imagine what this is taking a toll on you, right? So how do you feel you could kind of focus more on school essentially and kind of find the balance between the home life and the school life?
Well, I have tried sort of like having my little sister, kind of just trying to talk to my mom about it and having her just focus a little bit more on my little sister, since I am the one trying to focus on her more and then not thinking about myself in school. So I kind of just talk to my mom and tell her, could she please look after my sister more instead of focusing more on complaining or arguing with my dad to maybe take a step up, because I feel like I'm the one that keeps taking that step up and being the adult in the whole situation. So I would try and tell her that so I can try and go off to the library and just have a quiet place to study and focus on my schoolwork. But I mean, sometimes it is a little hard since I do start worrying about my sister back home.
Of course. So how does your mom take those talks usually? Is she understanding, or how?
Like, she would be understanding, like she'd be like, yes, I understand. It's just her taking the initiative and actually doing it. She sort of really doesn't do it.
So just what I'm hearing is that you have confronted your mom about the entire situation of you kind of taking on the role as a mother essentially to your little sister. So your mom understands that she needs to step forward and kind of take that initiative that you have, but she just lacks actually following through with that. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And how does that make you feel that she gets it but isn't following through?
Yeah, it's really annoying because I have to keep being the one to do something. Like, I'm still young, like I should be focusing more on my schoolwork, and she's supposed to be doing the parenting and taking care of me instead of me taking care of both her, my sister, and my dad, and being the responsible one of having to sometimes do the groceries and make sure she's paid everything on time, and it's kind of annoying.
Yeah. Do you find there's financial stress going on at home as well?
Well, it's just most of the times, like, she does forget.
Okay.
So, like, she does, like, we're well balanced and everything, but it's just her having to remember to do it, because I would always have to remind her, like, you have to pay for this stuff, instead of her just focusing on the whole divorce. It's like, you also do have other responsibilities, and I mean, I don't mind being able to remind her sometimes, but it's just having everything else, like, you should be able to sort of carry your load as well, instead of leaving it all up to me, just because I am the eldest.
Yeah, and that would be significant weight on your shoulders, also considering, right, like the whole school thing. I just can't imagine having that stress on top of school stress.
Yeah.
Like, that is a significant amount of weight on your shoulders.
Yeah.
Do you ever have time to do things for yourself, or take time off and practice self-care?
Not really. I mean, I try, because I do know it's important for me to, you know, be able to take that time away from all the hecticness of, like, the whole situation, and just try and relax. But I mean, I would just, if I have like a TV show that I love, I would be able to just say, you know what, I'm just gonna drop and just go back and just relax, and, you know, just think and reflect. And but it is hard, because I would have just always in the back of my mind, I always have, I need to look after my sister. Yeah, and then I need to go make sure my mom's done everything. And just also in the background, I just always hear my parents arguing all the time over the phone. And it's just, I just feel like I can never take a break with everything.
What is your usual way of just taking time to yourself, and kind of just your way of relieving the stress and forgetting about all the worries for a little bit and taking the time to yourself? Like,
usually I would, like, write and just read, watch, you know, my TV, like, favorite TV shows. I would also try to spend some time with my friends, go out and have dinner. That's usually the way that I try to cope with everything.
Yeah, it seems you're really passionate about those activities, and that's kind of a lack in your life right now, and just how you would really like to incorporate those things. Do you see your friends often now lately with school and things that are going on at home?
No, not really.
No? And how does that make you feel that you're kind of disconnected essentially from that?
Yeah, it does make me feel very sad, because I don't really get to see them anymore, and, like, being able to talk to my friends, of course, it's like that outlet that you want to search for, to just be able to talk to them, which is why I wanted to also be able to, if I were to tell my mom I'm coming to see someone and I do have counseling, she'd be like, okay, that's pretty important. But if I were to just be like, oh, I'm going to go hang out with my friends, she doesn't really see that as, oh, you know, she just thinks, oh, you're going to go and have fun and hang out with your friends, you know.
So, essentially, what do you feel you would like to get out of this session, or what are your goals to go from here?
Just to try and find someone to just help me be able to reflect on, like, what's really going on, and just be able to come and talk to somebody about everything, and just to have an escape, and just to see someone else's view on my situation, really.
Do you have any specific goals, or to take action upon our session to go from there?
I mean, after talking to you, it actually really helped. It helped immensely. So I just want to be able to, coming out of this, to be able to just try and be able to take care of myself more. I mean, I always put people before myself, and now I just want to be able to think of myself a little bit more, because I do need to think of my studies, because it is my future, and I do need to be able to sit down and take a break. But also be able to make time for my family, but also make time for school and myself.
Well, I'm really glad that you're finding our session beneficial. I'm glad you can kind of have that insight and use it as an outlet, right? Just to release everything that's been going on and just have someone to talk to. And just, I'm glad that you acknowledge the fact that it is very important to practice good self-care, and that you know that you're kind of lacking that part in your life, but you realize what is beneficial to you and what you could do to fulfill that part, right? And I just think that you're incredibly strong, and you take so much initiative in your life to help out your family, and I definitely do see that you put others before yourself, and I think that's fantastic. A lot of people can't do that, and I just think it's great that you are able to put your family before you, your friends before you, but I do think that it's great to take the self-care time and hang out with friends and do things that teenagers are supposed to do, right? And if you're in college. People associate college with fun and going out and having the good times, right? So I think that's important that you do know that and you're working towards that. So could you say that we could use that as a goal to work towards?
Yeah.
To essentially have that time to have fun, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's good. So do you want to keep coming back and we can set some more times up? And perfect. So we can keep that as a goal for now, as a first step, and we'll try and work towards that. Maybe, what do you think we could do to incorporate that time in your schedule to find the balance between everything?
I can probably try and come on weekends.
Okay.
That would really help.
Perfect. So we'll work that in and incorporate that into our schedule, and hopefully we can go from there. So I'm glad that we've covered everything that we have today. And so just to summarize everything and recap what we've talked about. So you're now in college, first year, and I know what big stress that can be on you, and you're also having some home troubles essentially with your parents, new to a divorce, and having to deal with one house here, one house there, and you're taking on great responsibility for your little sister as you feel like you kind of need to take the parent role, the friend role, the sister role all at once, and that can be an even greater toll on yourself, and you just feel like you don't have the time for self-care, or just take time to yourself and relax essentially. Is that all correct?
Yeah.
And I get this feeling that you're just really overwhelmed, and the real trouble is just finding the balance between home, self, and school, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I really think that our next couple sessions will be beneficial, and we've set the goal to make the time for self-care and incorporate that into your schedule. So I'm really excited that we have that goal, and we'll progressively work towards it and incorporate new techniques and things like that. So Saturday, is a good time for you? So we'll set up Saturday for, how does noon work?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Perfect. So I look forward to seeing you then, and we'll talk more and go from there.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. We'll see you then.
Okay.